This is the new voice display for Knight Rider Dash replicas. You can see it's actually made up of two separate boards. A display board and a driver board. There's actually a third board which enables you to connect this new voice display box into the old style harness, but we'll discuss that one in a later video. The display board and the driver board connect together by two strips of sockets and just press together like that. Let's take a quick look at the connections that are on the back of the driver board. To use this board as a display only unit, we send serial data through an RS-232 communications channel down a pair of wires. Also on this board you can see hooked up a second communications channel, which is to enable us to do diagnostic functions so that the voice display can actually send information back to a host computer. Additionally, we have some connections for discrete input switches, which we'll talk about in a short while. These connections here allow 5 volt power to be connected to the unit, but we also have a mini USB connection on the board which will enable us to put power on through the USB socket. In actual fact, a later version of this board is going to allow us to do communications through the USB socket as well. Also on the board we have the connections to the dashtop indicators here. We have an onboard speaker which can be used by the use of a link here, or you can use it with an external speaker. This speaker is used to make the startup countdown tones. You'll also see on the back here an onboard microphone which enables the voice modulator to respond to a spoken voice. That's connected through by a link in here which we'll look at in a short while, or you can use an external microphone to drive this, or you can use, as we used to use on the old versions of the board, an RCA phonotype input. Any of these combinations is possible by selecting using various links. This is the main intelligence of the board. It's a microchip PIC microcontroller, so that's responsible for driving the voice display, the side indicators and all the audio tones. That's communicated through to the outside world via this RS-232 interface chip, which takes the 5 volt levels of the microprocessor to plus and minus 12 volt line levels. The microphone amplifier is also dealt with by a small surface mount amplifier chip on here, so there's just really 3 chips on this board. That makes up the entire driver board. Okay, let's take a look at how the thing works. Okay, we're going to apply power to the unit via the mini USB connector, and we'll see that the side indicators come on. Now, these can be controlled, all of the displays on this can be controlled actually, through any source that can provide RS-232 inputs. What we've done here is we've made a little interface panel using Visual Basic. So we're going to open the communications channel and we're going to show that we can switch on, for example, the normal indicator. And you can see that we've added an audio tone. You can switch that on or off, it's one of the options, and you can also decide exactly what tone and what duration you want for each of the associated tones. So there's the auto cruise indicator, there's the pursuit indicator. These side indicators themselves can be switched on in sequence if we look at the display there. And we can also associate tones with these if we want to. We'll show those in a short while. And of course the most recognisable feature of the display is probably the voice display here, which we can control just by a slider on here. We can switch it between kit and car mode very easily, just a click of a button. And you can see that we can vary the display. Let's actually put it into show mode, which all of the Knights of England modules allow a show mode, which we can select either by sending a serial command. In this case it's all of the commands, by the way, are 6-digit character strings, but you don't need to worry about that because we've designed this Visual Basic panel to enable you to put those in by a click of a button. But to go into show mode we do 3FSHOW, which means It's Dm3 command. It's a special function command, and it tells the module to go into show mode. And when we do that, you can see that it'll sequence through. We can change the display to kit very easily. Click on the button, pull back the car again. Changing between the various modes is also possible using this second switch. So we're in show mode right now. If we push it again, we'll go into a display test mode, which first of all will test the dash top indicators. It'll then test individually each of the side indicators, the normal auto pursuit indicators, and each element of the voice display. These elements are actually driven in pairs on this display, so that's why they're being exercised in pairs here on the test. After checking the voice display, it'll check the audio tone generator. It also checks the duration of the tone. So if I push this button again, it'll return to normal running mode. Okay, let's have a look at the other features we have on here, such as brightness control. If we use this slider here, we can vary the brightness of the side indicators up and down, through from off completely all the way up to the usual running brightness. And that brightness control affects the normal auto pursuit indicators as well, and the dash top indicators, which aren't actually hooked up at the moment on the bench. We can also control, of course, the voice display brightness by a similar mechanism. Have it completely off, or we can bring it on very slowly. If we go into show mode again, as we did before, you can see that we can actually vary the brightness whilst we're in show mode, so we could bring the voice display brightness right down. I don't know if that's showing up on the video. We could bring the brightness of the side indicators right down. This is particularly useful, of course, if you're driving at night, in which case the displays would appear very bright, so you can get them to a pleasing brightness when you're driving at night. Or for daytime driving, you'll want the indicators and the voice display at the normal brightness. One thing we forgot to mention actually before we moved on to this section of the video was the inputs, the audio inputs to the board. There's a third input, as well as the microphone, on board or external, and the phono input. It's also possible to connect a speaker input directly via that same connector. We'll go into more detail on that in the actual design notes. So I think what we'll do now is we'll have a look at using the standalone audio input from the onboard microphone in the next. Okay, with the unit, you see it's responding to my voice now. With the unit connected so that it's responding to the internal microphone, and it's a little bit too far away from it, you can see that just making a sound near it will get the voice modulator to respond. And of course we can change that over very easily into a car mode. So car, kit, car, kit. And if you speak quite close to it, it'll pick up your voice quite nicely. We don't want it to pick up extraneous sounds, so you have to stand quite close to it or use the external microphone. Now in the next video we'll look at some of the options on this unit.